Welcome to the Two Wealth Show, a show that shares how you can create real wealth for you and your family. I'm one of your hosts, Justin Bogard, and my co-host is Elizabeth Sickles, aka Super E. I am a real estate note investor, specializing in performing residential real estate debt. I find the deals, acquire them for my own portfolio, as well as educate investors while walking them through the process of owning a real estate note. My co-host Super E, a real estate investor, specializing in short-term rentals and the management of them. She connects investors with short-term tenants and manages everything in between. Our show is sponsored by BrightPath Notes and Elizabeth Maora. You can find out more information by visiting our websites at brightpathnotes.com and elizabethmaora.com. Hey everybody, this is Justin Bogard from BrightPath Notes, co-host on the Two Wealth Show, and
I'm Elizabeth Maora Sickles with Elizabeth Maora.
Hi Elizabeth, how are you?
I am great. How are you today?
Doing pretty well. I did get a stimulus check today.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. It just kind of showed up in the bank account. Hopefully it wasn't fraudulent.
I didn't know they were going to get out so quickly.
I didn't know either. I wasn't anticipating it going straight to my bank account, but that was a nice surprise. So, hey, I'll take it.
Excellent. Yeah, so everybody make sure you check to see if you've gotten your stimulus checks.
That's right. So, Elizabeth, this is episode 7 of our second season. And I know you and I know this, but maybe some of our viewers don't know this, but we've already had over 100 downloads on our podcast. So
thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it.
And that doesn't include our videocast that we have on our YouTube channels. That just about our podcasts on the podcast channels, whatever you call it, the podcast directories. I get them confused. I'm still new at this too.
Well, we appreciate everybody listening and sharing and liking. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's quite an honor to have people actually make comments and listen to you. Be like, okay, well, maybe what I have to say resonated with somebody, and that's good. That's all we can ask for, right?
That's right.
All right. So, Elizabeth, what do we have for episode 7 today? What do you want to get into?
So this is the middle of April, just so you guys know when we're recording this, and we are going to talk about what we feel are going to be the opportunities coming forward whenever we get out of this quarantine. And what's interesting is that Justin and I we think what's going to happen is very different. So it'll be a lively discussion, no yelling or anything like that because we respect each other. But we're going to be really interested to see what you all think about this as well. So it should be a very good topic.
Well, let's get right into it. And so just for background clarity, for those that may not have listened to all of our episodes in the first season or the second season, meet Justin Bogard here. I am a real estate note investor, so I invest in the debt on real estate. So things like mortgages, trust deeds, and seller finance paper like land contracts and agreement for deeds. That's the type of paper that we invest in. We also help create it and we sell it as well. And Elizabeth, give us a little bit of background on you.
Sure. So we do all things short-term rentals. So we do all the designing, construction consults, furnishing, and then coaching, teaching, and all the hosting and property management.
Right on. Okay. So Elizabeth, from your world, we're both in real estate, and I think we both can agree, and I'll let you talk to this point as well, is that there is a problem right now. There is, I don't know if I would call it a crisis, but there's definitely a problem now. There are people that have lost jobs. There are people that have lost income because maybe their business doesn't receive a lot of income because they may be non-essential. And so that causes a problem for the business's employees as well. And so I believe that when we come out of this quarantine, that there are going to be some opportunities. And those opportunities, I believe, are going to be in the I don't know how to word this. I guess I would say in the lending, there would be a lot of opportunities. And what I see happening is that a lot of people, the working class and the middle class, are going to need some help with either purchasing a home, or maybe refinancing their home, or figuring out how to get in a different home because maybe with their job situation or their income situation, things have decreased for their household income. And so they may have to figure out a new solution. So I'm being proactive and I'm preparing for the fact that we're going to be ready to help borrowers out. And we're going to be starting to lend on homes, to be the private bank on their property, meaning these bigger banks, and I've kind of seen it with Chase, was sending out a few messages through social media and stuff, is that they're getting tighter with their lending criteria. They're going to be requiring more down payment, and they're going to be a little bit more stringent because they realize that the days of, the smaller down payments of maybe like 1% or a few $1,000s down is probably not going to be a viable solution for them. And so I see this as potentially borrowers are going to need to have more cash to put down on properties, so to speak. So that's kind of my quick take on it. Elizabeth, I'll kind of let you jump in and give me your take on it.
Sure. I think that we're going to see levels of foreclosure that are way past what we saw in 8, 9, 10, and 11. Because not only is this, there are businesses that are shut down and they're not going to be opening back up. And if you think about, too, the car companies, I was talking to one of my buddies in Nashville. So Nissan there has 8,000 employees. And at first they said, well, we're going to be able to bring everybody back. But just 2 weeks ago, they said, well, we think we can bring 2,000 people back.
Oh, wow.
6,000 great paying jobs with benefits that are gone. And 2, we have all the elective surgeries. So we have doctors that are used to making excellent money, anesthesiologists, nurses, all of that they're not working at all. So, and just what I've seen, it really started hitting here in Indianapolis. March 11th was whenever they said, hey, we're going to cancel the NCAA. So that's when our cancellations started coming through. I don't even think we've begun to see what's going to happen. So there's always opportunity. So I want to make sure people understand always opportunity. You just got to be ahead of it and be prepared for it. So I agree with you, Justin, that there is going to be a ton of opportunity in the private lending because one of the other things that has happened with FHA loans, and these numbers are not right, so don't quote me on these, but what it was pre-COVID-19 was you had to have a credit score of either 520 or 540. And as of the beginning of last week, they had already raised that to either 620 or 640. That's huge.
That's for FHA?
FHA, yes.
I think it might have been 620 to 640 was the bar, and it might have raised to 720, 740, or do you think it really was 520 to 620? Yeah,
it was a lot lower.
Okay.
So if my numbers are right. So I apologize. I should have looked it up. I didn't think about it. But at any rate, there's a big jump in what they're going to have to qualify for.
And that 100 points on the credit is a big jump.
That's huge.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, you mentioned something that I probably disagree with more than anything you said. And I do agree we're both on the same page about opportunity and real estate and lending and the foreclosures, I believe, will go up. I don't believe it'll go up to the magnitude of the 2009, 2008 financial crisis, where in 2010, 11, 12, there was just a big influx of housing foreclosures. The way I see it, the way I saw it with stuff that I've studied and talked about is that was truly a financial crisis, meaning housing was overinflated as in 2006 to where houses were just worth a tremendous amount worth than they were a few years before that. And the lending criteria was so, what I want to say, light. I mean, the saying used to be, Elizabeth, was if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan. So if somebody made $50,000, I'm just throwing that out there, they could get like a $500,000 home or maybe 2 of them. I mean, it was that ridiculous to where people were completely over leveraged and the banks overlend to borrowers. So I definitely saw that financial crisis as being a huge foreclosure opportunity because that made sense to me. You brought up some really good points about the elective surgery folks in the health industry. and the people in the car market that you mentioned, that is going to be a problem. That's going to be the reason why some foreclosures tick up. The national average foreclosure before March 1st was about 3.28%. Okay. At the peak of the 2009, 2010, crisis with foreclosures, I think it was around 2010 in February, the default rate was 11.5% as a national average. So that means, 87% of the homes across America were not in foreclosure. Okay. Sounds much better, right? But when you're living through a default, it doesn't sound that good. Mm-hmm. So this crisis, we'll call it a crisis, we have going on right now is a pandemic. It's virus or health related. And I do see foreclosures going up, but I don't see foreclosures going up to that magnitude or even worse. I have read a lot of things where people think that we're going to go into a depression as if we've never seen a recession, as if we've never seen before, like the Great Depression in 1929. I'm not an economy major. I can't see the future, but with the data that I have in front of me and what I'm seeing today, I don't really see that happening. I'm grateful that the government is able to, help bail out small businesses and help keep things moving and the wheels greased for the payroll stuff. I don't know if you've done the payroll protection loan or anything like that. We applied for it as well, just to get things going. And it does help kind of move the needle a little bit past April and May just to see if things calm down. But from my perspective, Elizabeth, I don't see foreclosures being as large as it was. I think we typically stay between 4 and 5.5% as a national default rate for foreclosures. And I think we may get up to 5 or 6% in the short term at the kind of the tail end of 2020, but we'll see. I've been wrong before, but that's kind of my stance on it. So I definitely think there is going to be foreclosures are going to go up, but I don't think it's going to be that magnitude. And that was kind of the reasons why.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think too. So I went on Monday, and so for our houses that are vacant right now, I'm going and checking them every week to 10 days, just, making sure everything's okay. Yeah. And it's so interesting because there's still construction people out working because that's an essential business. Yeah. But even compared to the last time I made my rounds to on Monday, there were less houses being worked on. Okay. We just had Disney that announced 2 days ago that they're furloughing 43,000 people. So the ramifications of that, just think about all the suppliers. Not only do you have food, but you also have the vendors that make the costumes and the laundry detergent, so consumable. So this isn't just, people aren't going to be going to Disney World right now. Right. Everything that the supply chain is unbelievable for those. So I think, and I do think that our real estate, it's kind of interesting because I've listened to a lot of different opinions too on the side, right? But I think that our real estate, and what because you've seen the prices in Fountain Square. Just in 2.5 years that I've been here, how much they've changed and how much they kept going up and up and up. So I personally think that we're going to have a huge correction on the pricing of properties as well. So I would say that if you do have properties that you want to get sold, it's probably the sooner the better to get them on the market and make sure that you're getting your private financing in place now, because I don't think that, just personally, I don't think that we've begun to see the fallout of all of this.
Yeah. And you bring up some good points, Elizabeth, and there's some things that I haven't looked into. And this is why the conversation is so good. The debate, we'll call it debate between us, because there are things that you see that I don't see. And there's things that probably I see or have seen that you haven't seen. And it's great to have this conversation because you are changing a little bit of my tone about, how serious the ramifications can be. And I just keep going back to what is the U.S. population today? What do you think it is?
Oh, I don't know. I just know
throw a number.
100 million or not 100. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I had some data points to that as well. But I guess what I'm getting at is there are markets, and we both can probably point them out on one hand, the markets that are super overinflated across the country. And those markets, I believe the overinflated ones, like on the West Coast and San Francisco, will point that out because it's the most obvious one. That one's definitely going to get hit with a correction. And I firmly believe that. But I don't believe every market will get hit like that. I just consider it in pockets. There's a lot of rural areas across the country that won't be affected that much by this because they haven't appraised in value dramatically like some of the other cities have, like, Denver, and you hear about Phoenix. Those are really hot markets, and Seattle were super hot markets. And those, I think, will get a firm slap in the face, if you will. And I think those markets will get corrected. And that could be the bulk of our foreclosures that come through if people don't have, solid equity in them and aren't over leveraged at that point. But, it'll be interesting. Like, I've talked to a couple people, and I've looked at our portfolio for our notes, and I've looked at a couple other people's portfolio with their notes, and I have some solid data to go off of, and I haven't seen the borrowers be affected yet. If they will be in March and or even April, as of today, we still have payments rolling in, and it seems like our portfolio is nearly what it was in February, January, and the months before that, which is a really good sign to me. But maybe it's too early to tell. But for right now, it still looks pretty strong. I was talking to some other folks, and they're more doom and gloom about the mortgage and the note business for their own reasons. And maybe it's because they're seeing it from their perspective, and their portfolio is maybe hit a little harder. And I've heard some people that have a rental portfolio that they've only had 30 or 40% of their rents go in. And then I've heard another person say, well, I've had 85% of my rents come in. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that how you vetted and how you screened your borrower and or tenant before February or before March of 2020, it probably plays a significant role of how your cash flow is coming in, during COVID-19 and post COVID-19. That's kind of what I'm seeing with the 2 months of data that I have in front of me and talking to different investors. So I think the people that'll come out ahead of this not being scathed very much probably had very good, strong practices with their business model and how they vetted, tenants and screened tenants and borrowers and created their cash flow stream that way off of that. So we were very, conservative with the loans that we picked out for even our portfolio, especially our investors. And so I think that bode well so far. May could be a totally different story. Well, give me some wood to knock on real quick, But that's, so from my perspective, I'm not seeing things hit very hard just yet. And I think there'll be some tougher times. But I don't see it to being that magnitude just yet, because it seems to me, and this is just from my perspective and looking at the little town that I live in LaPel, Indiana, is that there's a lot of folks still out there working. There's a lot of tradespeople still working and service providers still working. And it seems to be the real estate that we invest in for this side of the business is more of like working class homes and working class folks and working class areas. And they seem to have money still coming in, and which is a good sign, which I see it as the bulk of our real estate as properties valued at probably 120 or 150,000 and lower. There's a lot more of those than there are above $150,000 if you took the whole gambit of the United States. So as long as the working class and the working class homes are not severely affected, I think we'll come out of this not too bad, if I can say that. So that's kind of my little spin on that, Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope I'm wrong. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody about what I think is going to happen, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're just all doom and gloom." And I said, "No, this is called reality." And the more, I think it's really important to listen to things on all different perspectives, because you can digest and make your own decision, and then you can plan accordingly. And so that's what I told my friend. I said, "No, this is just what I think, and I am planning for that to be there, to be an opportunity, and to help people that need the help whenever we come out of this." So even though, some of it is sounds like doom and gloom, but it's also reality. I mean, it hit my business immediately and super hard. So, and I mean, I'm just glad that we also have traditional rentals, because that money is still coming in. And I checked with my tenants last month and said, hey, just wanted to see where you guys are. Are you guys okay with your jobs? And So, and all my tenants so far are good. So
Good.
yeah. So hope that hope
Yeah.
that continues. But I just really want to point out that there is always opportunity. There are always things that you can do. I mean, I have a buddy in California who's very very wealthy, and like he's doing DoorDash right now because he likes to stay busy, and he's making and he's college educated. He has his own businesses.
Yeah.
And he's making a ton of money because people are like, oh gosh, thanks so much for delivering. So he's getting extra tips. And so,
Wow.
yeah, there is always a way. There are always things that you can be doing. And, and there are also, people that are afraid of this, you can wear the mask, you can change out your gloves all the time, delivering to people, or just leave it on their doorsteps, but, so I just definitely want to make sure our listeners know that.
Absolutely. You bring up some good points there. That's pretty neat about the DoorDash situation. I didn't really think about that, but that makes total sense. You're right, because it's a necessity for people to get stuff delivered to them, especially if they've run out of groceries or they just, over here in the Bogard household, we have, 6 people over here plus a dog. So it's like if we get pretty exhausted, cooking and cleaning up for, 3, sometimes 4 meals a day, depending on which kid is the hungriest, so ordering out is something that is very enticing, to have that luxury. But I tell you what, Elizabeth, I kind of want to end this on some positive. And during this quarantine, Elizabeth, it's been the silver lining for me is having the family time, getting to spend time with Vicky, being around her all day, being around the kids all day. As much as they can drive you nuts sometimes. I wouldn't ask for a better situation, because I realize now how much family time I didn't get when it was before March of 2020. And so those are the things that, I definitely look forward to cherishing during this time of being together. So that's the silver lining that I have during all this. The business is what it is. We aren't really having like the best months that we've had before, just because people are very timid about selling and buying at the moment, which is perfectly understandable, and which is why that we're having the conversation today. But at a minimum, getting to spend time with the family has been unbelievable. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So I'll have my birthday during this quarantine as well.
When's your birthday?
April 26th.
Okay. Happy early birthday.
Thank you very much. I don't even know how old I am. I have to go add it up. I know I'm over 40. I know I'm over 40. But Elizabeth, I know we're getting close on time, so I'm going to have my closing thoughts, and I'll let you jump in on yours.
Okay.
I would say having some cash available now is probably a good idea for any of these opportunities that show up in real estate. I know with 1,000% integrity that real estate is resilient in any of these down or up markets. And the worst I've ever seen it was the 2008, 2009 crash because of all the mortgage defaults. But the reasons that I explained before. So I do see opportunities with either purchasing real estate at a pretty good discount and also purchasing notes at a pretty good discount, but more or less helping a borrower out. There's no better joy in the world being able to lend somebody some money on a property, to have them live there and have them know they have that peace of mind saying, hey, this is my home and I got it, and they're happy to pay you every month. And those are the situations that we love the most in our business. And we look forward to helping even more people out in the future. So that's what we're aiming towards, Elizabeth. And I hope everyone has enjoyed this episode. And Elizabeth, give me your closing thoughts, my friend.
Absolutely. So I think number one, in the vacation industry, that we're going to see a huge uptake in the professionally managed properties. So I'm excited about that aspect of the job. And what I'm doing, taking this time, is to really evaluate the business and what are the aspects that I really love, and then what are things that I need to get off of my table. So whether you have your own business or if you're working for somebody, I would really encourage you to take this time to do some soul searching. So I'm making some very big changes. I'm also going to be making some big changes once we're able to start traveling again, and just setting up my life for really how I want to live it moving forward. So there's a quote that I love, and that's have goals so big that you don't like telling small-minded people. So
Nice.
yeah, so take this time to really look at things and just enjoy the times that you can't take advantage of the opportunities that are coming.
Absolutely. Elizabeth, that was awesome. That was a great debate today. I love hearing both sides of things. You've changed my opinion on a few things, so thanks for bringing stuff to light. And so I'm Justin Bogard with BrightPath Notes, and thanks for listening to episode 7. Don't forget to check out the Videocast on BrightPath Notes YouTube channel or Elizabeth Maora's YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care. Two Wealth Show is produced by Justin Bogard and Super E, sponsored by BrightPath Notes and Elizabeth Maora. Thanks for listening and watching for our show.